For the entirety of 2017, I've been making videos from this tiny little box. I was supposed to move somewhere this year, but that didn't happen. And I've said the same thing last year and the year before that too. Anyway, I've reviewed a shit ton of games while inside of this box. Some were good, some were okay, and none were particularly bad, luckily. My least favorite, I guess, probably being Silent Hill Origins and Mach X, the former being alright for the most part, if not for it offending me just a little bit, and the latter also being okay, but just not quite okay enough. My favorite though, besides the game that I'm currently still playing and will have a review out for next year, was Hotel Dusk. Rarely do I ever come across a game where I fall in love with it during the very first opening cutscene. Kyle driving his cinematic little drive as he pops down to a gas station with his cute little poly car is pretty far up my own aesthetic. But I played some current games as well, of course, and even watched a few by way of cheeky Let's Play. RE7 definitely being my fave out of the ones I've actually played. As a game, it was genuinely great and will probably reach classic status over the years. Though it did kinda make me question Capcom as a company. I mean, far more than I already did, as you'd think that having fucked up the release of RE1 several times in different ways, and after publishing Strider 2 on a wrong disc and releasing God Hand with box art that looked like this, that they maybe would have learned a thing or two by now in regards to general competency. Yet, here we are, in the no longer current year, with them kicking shit off by dropping one of the most critically acclaimed AAA horror games in well over a decade, and ending it with whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. Now, I know, different teams with different budgets, blah blah blah, it's fine, but it's just fun to see how some things never change. Capcom, buddy, you just keep being you. Anyway, I also played Sonic Mania, which was fun, and getting over it with Bennett Foddy is a fucking work of art. But out of the games what I have nae played myself, but instead watched on YouTube, Night Out in the Woods stood out the most. Adorable is how I would sum it up in one word if I would have to sum it up in one word. In multiple words, I'd say that it has cute characters, cute writing, cute murders, cute city, cute music, and cute everything, and that I loved it. I review it and stuff, but most of my indie game reviews are among my lowest ranking videos view-wise, so I take it that my audience doesn't really care for indies, which, I mean, is fine. Y'all do y'all, after all, but Thorius Fuckius Von Highheelsius does needs me a quick fix of Tumblr-ass meme lingo games from time to time. Also, that new Life is Strange thing was hella neat. Music though, I listen to it and I make it. So here's a preview of an album.
I miss you.
Links in the comments. As for what I've been listening to though, I've mostly been going back through a lot of shit that I used to listen to as a teenager. Old hyperdub records, early trap music, some footwork stuff from before it became a meme, and even some house music. Just like, not the German leather boys kind, and more like the jazzy, funky Amsterdam kind. It's been retroactively influencing my work in a really neat way. As if I'm going back to my roots, only those roots never really existed properly in the first place, as I was unable to make shit like this when I was 16. Artemis and myself would hear a song like and think, wow, that's so cool, let's make something just like it, only to come up with I have been keeping up with new shit as well though, like the Brockhamptons and their Saturation album that boasts quite some musical variety and all-round general boyness. I also really dug Little Pump's album. Part of me feels like I should feel bad about that, but I don't. And Kendrick's Humble was pretty okay too, I guess. Ariel Pink's new stuff so far has been pretty cool. The new LCD sound system seems neato. Tyler's new album was alright. MGMT released 2 new songs that I dug. And, dude, Twin Peaks. Season 3 of TP was a weird-ass thing. Blackface hobos and awkward silences aside, I can't help but feel that not enough people were losing their shit over the fact that it had a giant doomsday kettle David Bowie who spoke through blowing smoke. I kind of figured that if anyone would end up reincarnating somehow, it'd be Bowie. I just didn't quite picturing him doing it as a giant kettle. It was good though. I typically don't really watch TV shows because TV is dumb and I'm also way too cool for all that normie shit, you guys. But Twin Peaks isn't really a TV show. In a lot of ways, it's basically a Japanese adventure game without it being an actual game or even remotely Japanese. I take it that the original airing probably rubbed some nubs in the right way over there, as seeing Twin Peaks after having played games like Deadly Premonition, Silent Hill, Shadow of Memories, D2, Michigan Report from Hell, Glass Rose, and even the aforementioned Hotel Dusk is like watching all of these separate things that you like parts of come together into one big thing that you like all the parts of. Like finding a cool leaf at the top of a tree and slowly tracing your way back down to the roots. That was a really bad metaphor that I wrote there. And Season 3 cemented that idea even further by potentially even having caught wind of these inspired buys, or by perhaps just being on the same page as much and actually introducing a One Punch Man dude bound by destiny to rid the world of evil one punch at a time. That's like the most anime-ass thing I've ever fucking seen in a non-anime. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was chock full of really unbelievably strange moments that made me wonder how this even managed to get funded in the first place. Though, having watched all 3 seasons, including Fire Walk with Me quite recently back to back, I've noticed a rather sad decline in the slices of life, so to say. I mean, the original TP was all cute and adorable and lovely and sweet and nice and only occasionally fucked up mad and scary weird, which made it all the more impactful whenever it was. Then, Fire Walk with Me was already much more dissonant and cold. And TP Season 3 was very much the same, only put under a fucking magnifying glass. There was plenty of funny shits, don't get me wrong, but parts of it were so inhumanely distant and glacially paced that it stopped being creepy or weird or really tantalizing in any way and just ended up being kind of boring. Though that was mostly only an issue in like 3 or 4 episodes in total for me. Other than that, it was really creative, weird, unique, and it never quite did what you expected it to, and I love that. Besides, there was plenty of awesome cinematography and striking visuals to go around, which is evidently what Lynch excels in as well. Either way, if you're like me and you enjoy quirky, weird, and awkward adventure games, you kind of owe it to yourself to check out their roots. That being Twin Peaks. YouTube was a thing in 2017. Currently, it is still my primary source of entertainment and has been since about 2009 when money got involved proper and shit actually got good. Money, however, also most certainly fucking got involved this year, though I'm sure you've heard plenty of bitching about that already. So, instead, I'd like to do what I do best and focus on the positives. Like how I reached 5,000 subos this year. Thanks, and stuff. Ultimately, I would have preferred to have 100k subos at least. I mean, that sure as shit seems reasonable enough considering the time and effort I put into these. But then, like, 3 mil also would have been cool, considering that would put me past my arch nemesis, Angry Joe. But in order to do that, I'd have to sell out and make shit I wouldn't feel like making, so fuck that. I'll take the 100k though. Please. Most of my time spent on this site was actually spent watching stuff, like my old faithfuls, the Best Friends Play, or the H3H3, or the Ross Scott, or the Donkey, or the Shadow Tot, or the Stop Skeletons, and so on. R.I.P. That is the plan. Hey, psst. I also watch PewDiePie. He's like my guilty pleasure, I guess. But don't tell my mom though. She'll think I'm a Nazi too. There have also been channels that have mostly risen to prominence over the course of 2017 who have released videos this year specifically that impacted me in a great way. But most of these are like left-wing political channels who preach my choir something fierce, and politics seem to make people cringe and cry and get really angry at the sheer mention of them, so I'll keep the fact that ContraPoints, Sean, H-Bomb, and Innuendo are pretty fucking cool to my wee little old self. Frederick Knutson Knutson should be safe to recommend though. Dude makes documentaries and all kinds of weird internet and general cultural shit like Darkside Phil or Christian, two of my favorite living god memes. And speaking of god memes, I've also been fervently watching the contents of the Internet Historian. He will inform you about the epic war between Shia LaBeouf and 4chan, or Habbo Hotel and 4chan, or Tumblr and 4chan. You guys, I think this dude frequently browses 4chan. Please, don't tell my mom about this. I'm not a Nazi pedophile, okay? Please. Polyphonic is cool too. He talks about music stuff and shit, and Cybershell is neat as well as he talks about Sonic, and this channel called Strucci Movies made a really impactful video about shitposty iDubbbz and Filthy Frank humor and its relation and impact on political correctness and general worldviewsy stuff that resonated with me in a big way. It might make you think things that you weren't thinking about before. And lastly, I'd be remiss not to mention Toko TV. Far too many people seem to be sleeping on this shit, and that's just not okay considering that they make very well-produced documentaries on the likes of Suichi Tereda, one of my all-time favorite housemen, and also the composer for the Ape Escape series, which I would not have known if it wasn't for their video. And they even have this really cool feature on Suda motherfucking 51, one of my all-time favorite man-men. By the way, as a weird little aside, Kotaku have actually acquired a Tim Rogers as their main video guy for their YouTube channel. And while I know that Kotaku isn't very well liked, which is often for decent reason, I feel bad if people missed out on this shit because of that. So, this awesome-ass comparative analysis of Final Fantasy VII's Japanese version gets a hearty recommendation, as do his more review-style videos like this heartfelt one about Nioh, or his shocking and controversial video about why Okami is actually kinda dull and frustrating despite it being one of the greatest games ever made. Links for all of these will be in the pinned comment, given that I won't forget. And, yeah, that's it, really. I don't watch anime anymore, except for JoJo, but Nega JoJo occurred this year other than that icky-looking live-action thing, which I am not down with. And I guess my favorite meme of this year has to be the one. Grande went pretty full-on with that shit, and I fucked with it. And as I said, I don't really watch TV shows because dumb, and I sadly don't watch movies anymore either. Though I really should, given that some actually looked kinda interesting for once. But there you go. These were my favorite things of the year 2017. A year that was very bizarre and really fucking frustrating. Though mostly kinda funny and memeable. I realize that my being able to say that is a bit of a luxury in and of itself, as if you're American and or poor, which seems to be roughly the same thing these days, shit was probably just really frustrating. As for my least favorite things though, anything relating to the weather and the environment, most songs in the top 10 that weren't trap flavored, Ajit Pai, yellow dollar signs in my video manager, Ajit Pai, dudes in Hollywood going around raping everybody, Ajit Pai, and the fucking construction going on outside my house for fucking months now, you fucking rat bastards!